Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your host, Mark. We're doing a fun, bloody, exciting episode about the Blood Angels. I learned a lot this episode. I finally learned the difference between the Black Rage and the Red Thirst. I can't wait to tell you all about it. Joining me today on this journey, we got Gerald.
Hello.
You've been on one of the Sanguinius episodes, I believe. Was it on the Death one or the other one?
Yep. It was the Death one, and speaking of the Death one, I'm trying to resuscitate my model because, true to his tragic end, he did not survive transit back to my house.
Oh, busted! Yeah, you're showing me before the show, and wings broken off, swords and spears, and I'm saying like I think it's fate. I think you need to make a broken version of him lying on the stones now, and that's the way it is.
I might just have to.
Put him in the Yamcha pose from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, there we go. We also got Fuzz joining us once again. Hey, yo.
Hey, everybody out there in podcast land.
Good old podcast land. Yeah, we're podcasting. I love podcasting, talking to my friends. But before we do that, let's do some quick housekeeping. Discord, you can come talk to me on there. There's links in the podcast description, or you can send me message on Facebook or Instagram, and links will be sent out automatically. It's pretty nice and easy way to get in touch with us, and that's the best way to keep when are we doing episodes? Go to the Imperial Tide channel on the Discord. It's definitely the coolest spot for us.
And hey, you've heard me shill about the Patreon before. It's just $1. That goes a long way in your support for the show, and but $2.50 can also garner you a Spotify exclusive without all the ads, because honestly, who actually likes ads? And then $5 gets you access to this lovely live stream that we are currently partaking in, and you can see our faces. And my baby boy, broken baby boy.
Oh, poor Sanguino.
I can definitely attest. I can definitely attest the ad-free version is totally worth it. And as well, like Gerald said, if you join the Patreon, you get access to not just seeing our wonderful faces on the live stream, but we have more than that. There's a chat room. There's a live chat going on where you can talk to all the wonderful 40K friends that you make on the Discord, as well as you have a chance to be a call-in guest at the end of the show, and everyone has to listen to your voice as well.
Yeah, I love that. I like this comment already. It looks like the Codex supplement will be for the 7th edition because it doesn't include any lore about the best type of Space Marines, Primaris ones. Yeah, the good old days. I think you're trolling me there, Alpha Primus, and I don't like it. But yeah,
They would never
do that. Yeah, the chat's a lot of fun. We'll probably have some time for the call-ins this episode.
We already have a super glue failure right here.
Oh man, it's flopping around. It's poor Gerald. I'm telling you, you got it. Don't fight it. Don't fight fate. Just embrace the darkness and kill him fully and put him on some stairs.
Well, I got a wing back on, so that's better than nothing.
That's half the battle. Well, we're doing a Blood Angels episode. This will be Blood Angels in the 30K Legion era, and then the next one will be kind of their 40K chapter era. So in this episode, we're going to cover their origins from the Unification Wars, jump into the Great Crusade a little bit, the Revenant Legion they used to be called. I didn't know that. And they had a crazy event that I'm not going to tell you what it's called now. We'll get to it. Don't you worry. The Horus Heresy, we won't talk about too much this episode because we kind of covered it in the Sanguinius episodes. But we'll jump back into the history with the Great Scouring and the Second Founding. Then have you ever wondered what they look like? Have we ever said, yeah, they look like angels, but did you know they're red? Now you do. We'll tell you more, though. Their beliefs as well. Why do they believe what they believe? What do they believe in? I don't fucking know. We'll find out. Gene Seed. They got some flaws. Some people call them personality quirks. If it's a Tinder profile, they're like, I'm a quirky. I have the red thirst. But, we'll get to that as well, the red thirst. The homeworld, you got to love a good chapter fortress, the Arcs Angelicum, recruitment as well, combat doctrine, martial traditions, organizations. They have these things called orders of the first sphere. Yeah, it's always interesting how the different chapters kind of name their upper hierarchs. Maybe there's some hidden meaning we'll find in this naming convention. But they do have some cool units that we'll talk about. And then finally, the war gear. some more like deep mythos war gear that I really like I was talking about with Sanguinius, how I really like the myth behind it. If you grew up with any kind of Christian backing, it's pretty hand in hand, Sanguinius and Jesus. So we'll talk about the shroud of Sanguinius in this episode that I thought was kind of cool and mythical and really kind of added to that vibe.
I was really liking the comparison that Christian was making to the Michael the Archangel too, especially if you want to think of Horus as like the Lucifer of the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, that's what he said. It was more of a mishmash of the two of them, of Jesus and Michael, even down to some of the artwork of Michael doing stabbing demons and stuff like that. So yeah, for
Pretty
sure.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. When writing the notes, I kind of found one thing about the Blood Angels that I'm like, okay, so what's their story arc? So this was the story arc I kind of gathered in my head for them. Like, at first, they are a savage legion, one of the like wildest ones out there. And then they become tame and they become kind of more angelic. They're not very like vampiric in 30K, although there's a little bit of that. But as you get closer and closer to 40K, they get more and more vampiric and less angelic. So yeah, the story arc of it's like, yeah, they're brutal, they get tamed, but then they kind of without that tamer again, they go right back to some craziness. So yeah, let's get into it.
I've said before on the part 2 of Sanguinius, I've never been the biggest Blood Angels fan because I think like in 40K, it's always like that overemphasis on the vampiric aspects. The way that people shit on Space Wolves for the overemphasis on the wolf aspect.
Yeah, I was kind of
credit where
thinking
credit
that
is.
same thing. Yeah, for sure. Where it's like, yeah, 30K Blood Angels is angel heavy, where 40K Blood Angels is that the vampire heavy, the vampiric themes, fangs and sarcophagi.
Like the first short story I read about the Blood Angels was from the like one of those Let's Get Started books that has like it's like an anthology of like all the major factions, and one of them was, try not to kill Sanguinius again. One of them was about a Blood Angel character that fell to the Black Rage, and like his company captain wakes up from his sarcophagus and then hisses at the light shining from the pale white, hisses at the light shining from the stained glass window. I'm like, this is so dang.
Just the emo space goth kids.
Yeah, so yeah, I think you said it perfectly, Gerald, where like, yeah, they suffer from that same thing Space Wolf does, where in 30K they're really cool and then they kind of get cartoonish almost. But that can be fun too.
Yeah, lest we forget, Warhammer is all about just ridiculousness. So
yeah,
it just depends on your flavor.
Yeah.
But let's go on an overview of this, because I actually am curious to learn about like what the 30K Blood Angels do. The Blood Angels stand among the revered first founding legions of the Space Marines, originally known as the 9th Legion before the second founding divided the Legiones Astartes into smaller chapters of 1,000 warriors. Renowned throughout the galaxy for their fierce valor in battle and feared for the tragic curse embedded in their gene seed, the Blood Angels count some of the longest living Space Marines, with heroes who have served the Emperor for over a millennia. They are noble scions of the radiant Primarch Sanguinius, who is slowly being put together on my table right now, whose angelic presence inspired awe across the Imperium. The chapter's countless deeds of heroism have been celebrated by billions, their visage immortalized in stained glass, carved marble, and illuminated tomes within sacred basilicas throughout the stars. Yet beneath this glory lies a terrible burden. When the arch-traitor Horus struck down Sanguinius at the height of the Horus Heresy, the blood of every angel was stained with his suffering. Each warrior is haunted by visions of their Primarch's final moments, visions that grow ever darker and more frequent with age. If not claimed by the battlefield, a Blood Angel's soul will be ravaged by madness, condemned to relive Sanguinius' death again and again, powerless to save their beloved lord from betrayal. The sons of Sanguinius shine as living icons across the Imperium. Their Primarch's winged form revered on countless worlds, gazing with both grace and sorrow. They inherit his sacred legacy, raining death from the skies upon the Emperor's foes with unmatched precision. The chapter's quest for perfection is evident in their mastery of aerial assault, surpassing all others in the art of striking swift and true from above. This triumph is all the more miraculous given their origin. The hardy, short-statured tribes of Baal, scarred by radiation and afflicted with grievous maladies. Their transformation into saintly warriors is forged through ancient blood rites and alchemy of sacrifice that shapes them into the angelic champions of humanity.
Yeah, fucking cool.
Yeah.
When writing this episode, I kept kind of thinking, do we include Black Rage stuff? At what point do we talk about Sanguinius's death? But I was thinking about all my other Primarch episodes we've done, and we always do the Great Scouring, and even GW has announced that they're doing like a Great Scouring kind of novel series. I don't know if they've announced how many books it's going to be, but it's kind of, once again, this like time of old legend. So I kind of like how they kind of had a brain fart there. Kind of like that.
I like that it should, continuing with the whole like Christian analogies. The people of Baal were, they were sick, they were radiation, saturated, they were very sickly. They were the kind of people that, your Jesus figure would heal. And so then in comes Sanguinius. Like, it really fits with that, like Jesus healing the lepers and everything.
Yeah, and if you're, through the blood of the Lamb, or I guess in this case, Sanguinius, through the blood of the angel, you're healed. Lots of that stuff, yeah.
All right. So their history during the Unification Wars. Amid the legends of the Unification Wars, the Ninth Legion exists only in whispers, set apart from their brother legions, bound to a grim and sacred purpose. They did not wage war with measured strikes, but as an unrestrained tempest, scouring battlefields in waves of terrible beauty. Cast into Terra's most cursed war zones, they fought alone in rad-blighted wastes, born not from nobles but from broken and outcast, reforged into tall, fair warriors with faces of solemn grace. Many perished under the agony of transformation, yet the survivors became angels of wrath sustained by relentless apothecaries. Feared as eaters of the dead, they consumed the finest fallen foes, their omophagia turning enemy flesh into skill and memory. In this shadowed gift lay their peril, for forged to destroy monsters, they forever walked the knife's edge of becoming them. I really like that because it really, I like anything that highlights the different parts of the gene seed, because a lot of them, you go over the 50,000 gene seed bits, and most of them you never really see shine. And so I like that something that the Emperor put into every Space Marine can do this, can eat the dead, but the Blood Angels are known for maybe overutilizing it. That's a thing.
Yeah, you get carried away quickly.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because, just like you said, Fuzz, a lot of this cool stuff from all the different gene seed implants is not really utilized as much as you think they would be.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of them are utilized in a plot specific purpose. Like the Space Marines have these things that they can do, and they're really only brought out as maybe plot armor or something like that. Your Space Marine hero gets sucked out into space. Okay, well, these gene seed things let him survive in the vacuum of space until he be rescued, or he gets shot, and so his blood can harden and clot super fast and whatever. But they really embrace the gene seed.
Yeah.
In the book Black Legion, they're just a tacit mention is made of the acid spit because of there's a chapter where the founders of the Black Legion realize what has become of the Imperium, and a great deal is talk about how they just spit with laughter, and then like the acid from their spit is just eaten into the floor.
I love that. I love that goofy stuff when they keep it in 40K.
Yeah. Yeah, like Space Marines should be spitting into people's eyes all the time. Like anytime anyone's unhelmeted, yeah, they're just hucking loogies across the battlefield. Like,
Oh, what if that's
Yeah,
the way
man.
they like would test the strength of their war gear? Is if their power sword can survive their acid spit? They're like, yeah, it's good. That's some good
Very
craftsmanship.
That brings a whole new meaning to spit shine.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, their spit will eat the rust right off of that tank.
Nice. Yeah, so Eaters of the Dead. Yeah, they went a little hard on that. Alphys Primus was wondering if we're going to cover the Unification Wars. There's actually a lot more information. I always get surprised how much information is on them in that era. And honestly, maybe I want to go back and do an episode of all of it for everyone combined. You know, there's just so much there. So if you are interested, like, don't think that that's all that we gave you. They have like commanders' names and stuff and territories that they're kind of conquering and all that. But you know, you discover that on your own time or soon, TM. But we'll jump to the Great Crusade. During that time, they became known as the Revenant Legion. The wars of unification raged like a divine storm, and the Ninth Legion marched into the darkest theaters, not the celebrated fronts. Their banner flew in the shadowed tunnels of Neptune's moons, where Xenos and degenerate remnants of mankind lurked, holding line so that the Emperor could bring Saturn and Mars to his cause. 12,000 entered the abyss, and when hope was gone, they rose again, reborn from Neptune's Forsaken as a bloodied phoenix. Forged from the salvage assault, they struck at dawn or dusk, unhelmed so their foes could behold their angelic yet blood-marked faces. Some wove dread rites into battle, feasting on the fallen to break enemy will. Cast into hellfire time and again, the Ninth endured, earning Malkador's title of the Revenant Legion. Feared, seldom praised, and kin to outlast legions. They bore the Emperor's harshest burdens, laying in the blood and shadow of foundation of his golden empire. Whew, yeah, so kind of right off the bat, they go hard. They send them into kind of the darkest spots, and casualties are allowed. Human casualties specifically don't matter. You can get kind of just go wild.
Yeah, I like that they're talking about where was it? That some wove dread rites into battle. And it goes, it talks about it in terms of like the feasting, but I really think that it shows their it almost shows like a superstitious side to the Blood Angels, if they're like having these different, all these different rites that they do in the middle of battle. Maybe for like, for luck or for courage or for whatever, or to curse their foes.
Yeah. Yeah, they still seem very like uncivilized and just like, yeah, the rites even seem kind of
Maybe like tribal.
Very old earth tribal. Yeah. Very not logical. We could apply some logic to like maybe oiling the machine before you use it. You could kind of follow that. But yeah, the rites that they kind of describe, they seem like, just savage, brutal for the sake of it, almost.
Absolutely. And speaking of savage brutality, we have an event called the Charnel Feast. That sounds spicy. In the dawning years of the Great Crusade, when the Emperor's fleets first swept beyond the Segmentum Solar into wilderness space, they found battlefields that would unmake the minds of mortals. Among the most cursed was Kai Baren, a wasteland of irradiated sands, mutant chattel tribes, and the techno-barbarian warlord Eklobia. 4 Imperial regiments banished there, and in answer, the Emperor loosed the Ninth Legion, 3 proud companies descending into Stormgrey drop pods to relieve the trapped Varadan regulars. For months the Blood Angels shattered the mutant hordes and claimed the northern mountains, yet Eclobia commanded uncountable thralls, bound by terror to sorcerers whose foul arts rent reality itself. The Ninth were drawn into unending battle, their ceramite rent by warped flesh, their lines assailed by tides of bodies. When the sorcerers unleashed the horrors of old night, the Legion, unwilling to perish to no purpose, cut a crimson path of retreat with shattered blades and the armor of their fallen. 2 companies were lost, fewer than 400 warriors endured.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So this is a battle between them and some demons, or some sorcerers that are summoning demons and stuff, which is pretty crazy.
It was, do you know, is Eclobia a psyker themselves, or do they like control sorcerers under them as a warlord?
I could find out some more. Honestly, I didn't read that book, but
yeah, definitely. Like they're dropped in this radiation world, and they have to deal with not just the radiation, but like you said, these psyker sorcerers summoning demons, uncountable, just probably uncountable slave soldiers being thrown at them. There's like so much they can do. Yeah, like literally, like a wave of bodies is coming at you.
I mean, it's kind of interesting to think too. Like, you think techno barbarian, you think of like pre-unification war, old Earth, but there's more than just Earth out there as far as humans too. So,
yeah, there's a comment that we just had. Was corpse starch a thing while the Emperor was around, or like back then it was at 40K specifically? Yes. Yeah, like mankind had spread out across the galaxy a couple times before the Empire. So you have all types of different things. Like hive cities existed before the Emperor came around. There were a couple scattered across, the Mechanicum had already set up a bunch of stuff like that. So, yeah.
So back to this very harrowing campaign here. Reformed in the crucible of war, they fought as shadows, swift strikes and withdrawals, pressing the enemy's weakness, bleeding the foe over 12 unbroken years. Bereft of resupply, they pressed captured mutants into service, their hardy gene seed forging even these irradiated wretches into angels of war. They partook in grim necessities, consuming the dead to sustain themselves, denying sustenance to the foe. Some whispered of the charnel feast, and dark rumors claimed even the Viridian dead were rendered into the Legion's survival. Piece by piece, they bled Eclobia dry. In the 12th year, they stormed his fortress spaceport with near 1,000 warriors and serf levies. The novitiates bore the brunt of his sorcery, while veterans slew his warlocks. Defeated, Eclobia fled, only to meet the guns of the 7th Legion in orbit. Rogel Dorn, newly with his imperial fists, found not the Emperor's dream, but a world ruined by necessity and will. He saw in the 9th both monstrous deeds and indomitable resolve. Stern in judgment, Dorn ordered Baran burned, erasing the sins of those angelic warriors before any remembrancer could witness them.
Yeah.
That's harsh.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you eat an entire planet. I keep thinking like, okay, I know Space Marines have a huge calorie intake that they need. How much of human could one Space Marine eating in a sitting? Could they go through 2 or 3 of them? Maybe.
I mean, if you like break them down and if there's like an actual like butcher breaking them down into their the edible parts, maybe. Although I don't know, maybe a Space Marine can eat all of it.
Come on, there's that acid spit that we mentioned. That's going to help
There you
break
go.
down.
I mean, that's what real human saliva does, is it helps break down the food for digesting.
Perfect.
For whatever reason, like the charnel feast, and then like Gerald reading through this, for whatever reason, my mind popped into just like the Blood Angels at like a buffet of humans.
Oh yeah.
It's making me think of that really dark fan theory about Wall-E, and then the by and large Slurpees.
Oh, that they're made of the people.
That they're made of the dead people, and that's why everyone is just so horrifically obese on the ship.
They're eating recycled people.
Well, so coming out of this dark time, though, we have the arrival of Sanguinius. In the first 3 years after his rediscovery, Sanguinius walked alongside his brother Horus and the Luna Wolves, learning the ways of the Imperium's grand design. It was during the brutal pacification of Tagar Pentaurus that he first encountered his fierce, savage sons of the Revenant Legion, and stunned all by knowing the name of every warrior before him. With humble grace, he swore an oath to his legion, pledging to lead them through glory or damnation, declaring that the scattered ninth would arise united and march alone in the coming campaign. This heartfelt vow stirred the hearts of his warriors, binding them to their Primarch with unyielding loyalty. In the bloody crucible of Tagar Pentaurus, Sanguinius shed his own blood and glimpsed the terrible hunger within his sons, a bloodlust that threatened to consume them and turn them into monsters. Yet he did not despair. For a decade, he forged a new path, pairing each company with the noble Luna Wolves to temper their savage nature. Through this bond, the honor and discipline of their allies rekindled pride in the Blood Angels, replacing their thirst for carnage with noble purpose. Together with the Luna Wolves and Imperial Fists, they faced the overwhelming Hrud migration at Anaxis 12, sealing their place among the Imperium's mightiest legions. At Kentaurus Beta, Sanguinius taught them the art of conquest without bloodshed, and fury gave way to wisdom. Thus the Blood Angels were reborn, not merely as warriors, but as shining icons of the Emperor's light. As the Great Crusade marched onward, the Blood Angels earned renown as peerless shock assault troops, their fierce rivalry with the World Eaters fueling their reputation. Their legendary Wars of Ultimatum saw worlds given a final chance to embrace the Imperium or face the Angels' blazing wrath. Many would yield in all of their shining presence, but those who resisted faced destruction unleashed from the heavens by Sanguinius himself, whose serene countenance could transform into terrible fury. Yet beneath their newfound nobility, the Legion wrestled still with its inner demons. The unrelenting bloodlust of their past lingered, a secret torment that Sanguinius sought to conceal and conquer, ever striving to elevate his sons above the darkness that clung to them.
So they like to eat a little people every now and again. It's just one planet. There's a lot of planets.
So I really like the imagery of the ultimatum. Like, you know how you sometimes it's the person who's talking the quietest and the softest that you need to be the most afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
And I very much feel like that's, Sanguinius and the Blood Angels at this point where like, all right, well, this is what we would like you to do. If you would cooperate, that would be great. If not, actions have consequences. Like,
if not, I'll eat you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Would you like to be alive or would you like to be a snack? These are your options. Choose wisely. But yeah, just him being like calm, negotiating, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, maybe some world leader is just like, blah, 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 fuck you, Sanguinius, blah, blah. He's like, all right. And then like flips a switch, just stabs him through the face with a spear. Well, you made your choice.
Next.
I also like the way this describes him kind of sensing that darkness in his legion and like him actively trying to hide it. There was a conversation I had with someone on the Discord. It might have been Alpha Primus, I forget. But that the Black Rage and Red Thirst, one or maybe both of them, like Sanguinius saw that in his legion and was using the psychic power he had to kind of like hold that at bay. And when they do fall to it in 30K, it's just like those little bit of leaks coming through his psychic dam and hitting his legionnaires.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe, yeah, I like that thought. Maybe let's come back to that when we do a recruitment, because during that process, they do drink some of Sanguinius's blood. So maybe that's the other factor where it's like a genetic thing. But I think I like the psychic idea more than just like a genetic thing.
And it could be both too, because like saying a lot of these people come from radiation-stricken worlds, and I'm sure that could also like have had some maybe like side effects on the gene seed after it was implanted too.
The blood is physical, the psychic is for your mental healing. That way, a twofold heal body and mind. That. Yeah. Okay.
Before we go on, did we ever actually go over like the specific order that the Primarchs were found? Or have we ever discussed that in an episode yet?
I'm
Not
99%
the Horus.
sure that, Mark, you have
Hmm.
in some episode. I know you have, but
Okay.
I do not remember which one.
Huh.
I did pull up a list. Granted, this is from the wiki. So I know sometimes the canonicity is a little sus, but it does give the well, I thought it did. I thought it cited a source of where they got it from, but because I think it would give a good idea, because like it just talked about how Sanguinius met up with Horus, and like I feel like it would give a good idea of like how we know which Primarchs interacted with which Primarchs more, and that would infer or inform like, okay, these guys got along so well because they actually had more time together and all that. So if you'll permit, I can go over that list now just for the sake of the listeners.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the first one was Horus. The second one was Lehman Russ. The third one, records redacted. The fourth one was Ferrus Manus. Then Fulgrim, Vulcan, Rogel Dorn, Rebuke Gilliman, Magnus the Red, Sanguinius, Lionel Johnson, Perturabo, Mortarion, Lorgar, Jagatai Khan, Conrad Kurz, Angron, Corvus Corax, records redacted, and then Alpharis and Omegon.
I'm just kind of picturing the Emperor like rolling up to these planets, and like he finds his first kid and it's Horus. He's like, hey, he's actually pretty fucking cool. I kind of actually like this guy a lot. Next guy he finds is Lehman Russ. Is like, you know, they can't all be good. It's like
He's not good, but he's fun. He's
yeah, good drinking buddy. Also, whatever. Yeah, you know, and just he gets to Fulgrim. It's kind of like, yeah, pretty impressive what he did. Just get kind of going through. I didn't think Sanguinius was so far down. Same with Lionel Johnson. I thought those two were closer to the top. But like you said, yeah, when you know when they kind of got discovered, it kind of changes things.
You
like
might have
even
gone over it. Sorry.
Even though Sanguinius was 9th down, it was only 40 years after, by the looks of it, of Horus's finding. So it's still pretty fresh, but
in
still.
in the time of the Great Crusade, it still gives him a good amount of time to hang out with his brothers.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it kind of, at least for like the later ones, like Morty, Perturabo, Morty, Lorgar, Kurz, and Angron, like, I don't know, I get the sense of like they've been found so late in the game that they already have like the rest of the Primarchs to try and live up to, plus their own fucked up lives from what we know about their history. Is just I don't know, that just seems like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, like because like Angron, was he on that planet for 99 years as a gladiator fighting? Because that's the difference between when he and Horus was found. And I know there could maybe be some warp time shenanigans between the two, but yeah, could fuck you up a lot. I also like the thought of just like people like, well, why didn't the Emperor why wasn't he there for Angron? Yeah, by the 18th kid, you kind of get a little tapped out. You can't be there for.
Right, I've got 3. It's tough.
Yeah, you don't even know where Corvus Corax is. You're like, I swear we found him. No one's seen him since. So, yeah, whatever. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. Definitely go to. I find Lexicanum, or like Gerald said, Wikia. You could probably find a good little list of when these kind of came out, and I'm surprised how much they had. Like, we have dates now of all these guys of when they come out. That's pretty cool. All right. So we'll jump into a little bit more Great Crusade stuff. And to do that, you have to go listen to the Sanguinius stuff. I found when doing this, as I've mentioned on other Primarch episodes, during the Horus Heresy, Great Crusade, the Primarch and the Legion are hand in hand. Very rarely do they separate. So that happens, during the Horus Heresy. They do the whole Cygnus Prime where they fight demons again and get Sanguinius gets his legs broken and a bunch of guys get killed and the curse happens. After that, they go to the Imperium Secundus and they have a nice little mini empire with Raboot Gilliman and Lionel Johnson. That ends about as well as you'd expect in not flames, but like it just didn't go where it needed to go. Too many captains of one ship. And then the Siege of Terra, where the Blood Angels I found really stood out and really kind of made their name and how they kind of did some cool things actually, and that includes holding the palace mostly was kind of their goal, their job.
And it's kind of like you mentioned in the first Sanguinius episode, like with his actions during the Siege of Terra, it's like Rogel Dorn and the Imperial Fists. It's just like everybody knows about the Imperial Fists. Everybody knows about the Blood Angels for what they've done.
Mhm.
Like, has everyone heard of an Iron Hands? Maybe. Everyone knows about the Ultramarines. We're not going to shill on those guys just yet, but it was like everyone knows the Fists, the Blood Angels, maybe a little bit of the White Scars because they were there too. But
yeah, that one's a weird one because they were like they were there, but they weren't like as brotherly. They weren't holding the palace. They were almost like offensive. So
yeah, they were like the skirmish fighters is how I understood. Like when we did the con episodes, like they were the ones out there like harrying behind enemy lines.
Yeah. Often forgot about, but yeah. But then we jump into the Great Scouring after Sanguinius dies. We kind of left the Blood Angels with 500 Astartes, I believe I read, after the Siege of Terra. Yeah.
Like period or just on Terra?
I think period. That was kind of the vibe that I got.
It got to rebuild.
Yeah.
Dang, yeah.
When I was writing these notes, I left that sentence with the 500 in there the same, so we can read how it's kind of written, and then we can determine if that was all of them. But
okay. Quick question: what are your thoughts on them coming out with the Scouring books?
Yeah, Fuzz, what do you think?
So I'm just starting to get into the 40K books in general. I'll say that right off the bat. However, from my knowledge and experience in the setting and talking to friends and acquaintances and their thoughts on the 40K setting, I think it is good in the sense that people like questions answered. People like to know things go on. People want to hear these legendary stories of their heroes, of their chapters, of their favorite, maybe their favorite Xenos or whatever. They want to know these things. And also there are people that don't really want them too much to push the 40K plot forward because they like keeping it as that static-ish setting. So I think it's good in that respect. But if you are someone that wants to see the 40K plot move forward, wants to hear about, what's actually going on in the universe right now because you want modern lore, they could be doing something else. I think I would be happy if they didn't make it like 56 books. If the Great Scouring was like, I was 10 at the most. I think that's a reasonable-ish amount for this time period.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I think even 10 books, like, to think about that, it's like, how many novel series are fucking 10 books? Like, that's wild. But yeah, that would probably be the appropriate number. You have 20 legions you have to discuss. So, like, you pair them off and try to do something like that. At this point, we have the information, like this time period and the Horus Heresy and the Great Crusade. In my mind, it's all the same. This is Primarch era. So now that we're in it, and we picked that Band-Aid off, let's see what happened until they disappear.
Fair enough. So with that discussion on the upcoming book series out the way, let's dive into what we currently know. The death of Sanguinius unleashed the black rage like a tempest upon the Blood Angels, striking them both aboard the vengeful spirit and on the blood-soaked fields of Terra. Racked by visions of their angelic father's final moments, they were driven into a holy fury, striking down foe and friend alike in a storm of grief and wrath. When at last the madness ebbed and the Emperor stood victorious over Horus, the Legion's surviving heroes, Raldoran, Askelion, Nasir Amit, and 500 battle-scarred sons gathered to honor their fallen lord in a solemn funeral rite worthy of his sacrifice. In the sorrowed days that follow, Raldoran assumed command of the Blood Angels, even as the Black Rage began to take root as a recurring shadow upon the Legion's soul. It became the sacred duty of the sanguinary priests to tend to their stricken brethren, striving to restrain the curse that claimed them. Yet across the long millennia, the slow decay of their blessed gene seed has only deepened this flaw. In the second founding of 021 M31, as with all loyal sons of the Emperor's legions, the Blood Angels were commanded to divide their brotherhood into smaller chapters, each a fragment of Sanguinius' legacy, carrying his light into the darkened stars.
Yeah. I think it was only 500 guys left because they only made a couple chapters during the second founding.
Okay.
And like I'm pretty sure all the Blood Angels were on Terra at that point too. Like I think they were one of the legions that were able to kind of really coalesce.
Because of them, and I think all the Imperial Fists were also on Terra too.
Yeah, yeah. Same with all the White Scars. I'm pretty sure they were all too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do a whole lot, the Blood Angels, during this period, honestly. They have their own internal issues of grief and rage going on. Every chapter kind of dealt with this period in their own way. Like Rogel Dorn, I like his way. He got really fucking mad and picked up his sword and went crusading. But not all the chapters were able to do that.
Yeah, like for them, like you said, there's 500 of them left. There's not a whole lot for they're not going to be as effective as the other legions going out during this period. It is the smarter thing for them to deal with, like you said, their internal rage issues, their new predicaments, but also rebuilding their chapters so they can actually be there and do something.
Yeah.
Alpha Primus does bring up a good question. How open were they to the second founding when it comes to breaking down their chapters or breaking themselves down into chapters?
Fuzz could jump into the next little read portion and we'll get light still.
Yeah, we're going to go right into the second founding. So, bathed in the somber light cast by Horus's fall, the Imperium was forever reshaped. The Emperor, once the radiant guardian of mankind,
Fuzz, you're muted.
am I back?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, something popped up.
Yeah.
My browser lost connection.
Okay, yeah, because like you went completely silent after the first couple sentences.
No.
I know.
Is everything okay on your end, Mark? I see that your camera's off and you're muted, just to make sure.
I think Mark had to step away, so if you just want to start that bit
I'll
over,
just-
like you did, just start it over. You didn't make it too far, so
Okay, yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
So, take two. The second founding. Bathed in the somber light cast by Horus's fall, the Imperium was forever reshaped. The Emperor, once the radiant guardian of mankind, was shattered, his life sustained only by the sacred mechanisms of the Golden Throne. The monumental task of healing the fractured empire and purging treachery now fell to the surviving Primarchs, noble champions like Rogel Dorn of the Imperial Fists and Roboot Gilliman of the Ultramarines. It was Gilliman's resolute vision, born from necessity's crucible, that would reshape the Blood Angels, transforming the mighty Legion into the steadfast chapters that stand as humanity's guardians to this very day. Through the sacred Codex Astartes, Guilliman decreed the end of the vast Legiones Astartes as singular entities, mandating their division into smaller chapters of 1,000 warriors to guard against any one man wielding such devastating might again. Though this fracturing stirred deep anguish and prideful dissent among the grieving Primarchs, many viewing it as a grievous wound to their honor, the wisdom of Guilliman's design prevailed. One by one, the leaderless legions yielded, and thus the revered chapters of the Adeptus Astartes were born. For the Blood Angels, this edict struck a cruel blow. Their angelic Primarch, Sanguinius, slain by Horus's own hand, left them bereft, and before morning could soothe their souls, their ranks, already ravaged by the siege of Terra, were sundered. Fractured leadership and the first dark stirrings of their terrible curse haunted their hearts. The scars of war ran deep. The demonic horrors of Cygnus Prime and the searing anguish of their Primarch's death birthed the black rage within their souls. Though the heresy had ended, the Blood Angels' greatest trial was only beginning. From the crucible of sorrow and sacrifice emerged the second founding. While each legion faced its own path through division, the Blood Angels found unity anew beneath the guidance of Azkalan, the last surviving champion of the Sanguinary Guard. Under his wise counsel, the remnants forged a handful of chapters, each bearing the sacred rites and proud traditions of their forebears, carrying forth the luminous legacy of Sanguinius. Among these arose the Flesh Terrors, led by the relentless chapter master Nasir Amit, whose relentless crusade against their traitor legions stained his chapter's history in blood. Through these dark and uncertain years, the sons of Sanguinius rebuilt not only as warriors, but as noble avengers, bound eternally by honor and sacrifice.
Yeah. At this point, they weren't for it, but they did agree. And then, as most did, they kind of did the selecting hat there, and they decided to put all the crazy people together. All the crazy ones went into the Flesh Terrors chapter with this relentless guy. And then, they went across the galaxy and just went on a crazy rampage, which was pretty fun to read about. All the more angelic, like beautiful guys, with the blonde hair, they can stay with the Blood Angels. All that.
I would say it does sound like their gene seed does, from like the earlier parts, it sounds like their gene seed does kind of like make them pretty in a way. Like that's just part of it, is they take on a little bit of that angelic countenance that Sanguinius has. For whatever reason, I also really I like that they, in lieu of their Primarch being there, it fell to functionally the next highest ranking person. Like they did have one of the Sanguinary Guard there with Azkalan, and he was kind of like, all right, guys, I got you. We're family. He's kind of like the oldest brother, like taking control of all of the siblings.
Yeah, which doesn't happen very often, especially at this point. Not a lot of them have died. So, I'm very curious to see how they're going to do the Great Scouring because of this, because Ferrus Manus is dead, because Horus is dead, because Sanguinius is dead. How are you going to appease these guys?
They might just not be super prominent because, again, there's not many of them left, and they're because they're supposed to be broken up into the chapters of 1,000 Space Marines.
Do you think they can do that though? Do you think they can actually keep their hands off them? Like, I agree they're small. They should kind of just be left alone. But do you think they have that willpower? Oh
no, that's what I'm saying, is like they were broken up into at least one chapter now. So like you've got 500 Blood Angels, now you've got 250 Blood Angels and 250 Flesh Terrors at the most. Like, what are you gonna do in the Great Scouring other than just like kind of do that inward focus?
Rebuild your legion or rebuild your chapter.
Yeah, so some of them might just not be that prominently featured in the books. Like maybe, a company of Blood Angels, is there, but you're not going to get a lot of them. They're just there as like reinforcements, maybe.
That's how I imagine that would go. While we're talking about numbers, I brought this up before in a previous Primarch episode. We have, and I'm giving credit to Arbiter Ian for this. Pretty good lore tuber. Check out his stuff when you're done listening to us. But he kind of pieced together, he's really knowledgeable about like Horus Heresy lore, and he pieced together kind of like a rough estimate of like how big each legion was, both at the end of the Great Crusade and then again around the time of the Dropsite Massacre. For the sake of time, I'm just going to talk about the Blood Angels, but the Blood Angels at the end of the Great Crusade is estimated to be anywhere between 130 to 160,000 Marines. So, pretty good recruitment there.
Pretty good recruitment.
But then of course you got some tryhards like the Ultramarines and the Dark Angels who are like over 200,000 easy. But then let me kind of skip ahead here. Whoop, boop. Okay. So it actually kind of stays around the same by the Dropsite Massacre, or around the time of the Dropsite Massacre, since they weren't as involved. But you can infer, like, if we're gonna stick with the 500 left, like that's how many they lost by the end of the heresy.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah, that's so many people. They went from 130,000 to 500 by the end of the Horus Heresy. Holy jeez.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was another fun number since we were talking numbers. I think the population of Baal combined, like the 3 planets, is 160. Maybe it was 120,000. So, like, yeah, to then rebuild a population on that population, like, yikes. Yeah,
Like,
you're
that's not
waiting.
that many people.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's crazy.
fun. All right. Well, let's talk about their appearance. We kind of mentioned that their gene seed affects them a little bit personally. Then we'll do armor colors and some other stuff. In 30K, the sons of Sanguinius often bore the radiant angelic beauty of their Primarch, their visages seeming almost touched by the divine. Yet, within them stirs the flaw, a shadow upon their gene seed that over the years pales their skin to alabaster and sharpens their eye teeth. These changes, subtle yet foreboding, are wrought by the mingling of the Primarch's sacred genome with the transhuman nature of the Astartes. Through the long march of generations, such traits, sometimes altered further by the imperfections of genetic inheritance, have manifested among the Blood Angels' noble successor chapters, united in the sanguinary brotherhood. Armor colors. The Blood Angels clad themselves in a deep, sacred crimson. Their black chapter badge is solemn mark of their company brotherhood, with their squad colors denoting each noble company. Their trim, most often matching their armors red and veiled in black, frames the form of warriors sworn to sacrifice. Upon their breastplate, the Imperial Aquila shines in yellow, gold, white, or black, a constant emblem of loyalty and service until death. The heraldry of the host. The Blood Angels follow a sacred heraldry, enabling instant recognition of brothers, company, and squad amid the storm of battle. Beyond this practical virtue, these markings are born with pride, a testament to the honor of sons of Sanguinius. Unlike the Codex pattern, their helmets declare their role in war. Crimson for battle line, yellow for close support, and blue for fire support, and gold for veteran or command. Yeah, people have always wondered that. Why do the helmet colors change? Yeah, it's just rank. Or not rank, it's battle line, close support, role. That's the word I'm looking for. Role. Yeah. Lots of like companies or chapters kind of change their hues of their colors. Like Space Wolves kind of changed theirs, but I think Blood Angels kind of have been pretty consistent throughout their color schemes. Maybe it was a little more bright back in the day, but not much.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And along with that, let's talk about their beliefs. Sanguinius was ever a visionary. In his earliest years, he sought to lift his people to a higher, nobler existence. With the coming of the Great Crusade, this dream expanded to all humanity, a hope to banish the terrors left in the wake of the Age of Strife. He shaped his legion with that same idealism, infusing its doctrines with a mystical conviction that the course of fate could be altered. The transformation of a broken, irradiated wanderer into a proud, angelic warrior stood as living proof of this creed. The Blood Angels carry this belief into every deed. They strive for flawless mastery, their art a harmony of beauty and symmetry, their discipline honed without cease, their doctrines touched by the tragedy of humanity's fall. Gifted by their gene seed, they endure centuries, often a full millennium or more, perfecting their skill in war and craft. Thus, their armor and banners stand among the most ornate of all the Adeptus Astartes. Yet, in all things, their devotion burns. The Blood Angels enforce the Emperor's will with unmatched fervor. Their victory is countless, their slain foes, alien and heretic alike, beyond reckoning.
Yeah, fucking cool. I do like that, like, takes the savage and turns him into something like even crazier. The power of healing, what is it? It's nice. So it's very nice for Sanguinius to be able to just do that for these wretched creatures on Ball.
Yeah, like I really like the idealism that is kind of baked into the way that they do things. I feel like I've talked about this before with another Legion when I was on an episode. But yeah, just like it really seems like Sanguinius indoctrinated into his Legion this idea of we are here to beat back the darkness for humanity. It is our job to fight and to die so we can make everything better. And I sort of with that knowledge of if everything is better though, then we're not going to be needed, but that's what we're fighting for. We are fighting to be useless.
Yeah, like they weren't fighting just because they like violence or hated the Xenos. That wasn't their motivation. Yeah.
It was a bonus, but yeah, it was not there.
You get paid in skulls. Enjoy.
Hey, look, love what you do. Never work a day in your life, they say.
Lies.
So with their gene seed, though, of all the Legiones Astartes, the Blood Angels underwent perhaps the most profound transformation from mortal man to transhuman warrior. Even more marked than the stigmata of the Space Wolves or the Salamanders, the blood of their Primarch rewrote the gene helix of Baal's rad-scarred, twisted sons, remaking them into perfected warriors, living echoes of Sanguinius, the angel in his terrible splendor. Yet such perfection bore a cost. The rite of transformation was more arcane, more agonizing than that of any other legion, and even with the direct gift of the Primarch's own blood, the toll in lives was grievous. Those who survived often carried mental wounds as deep as their physical rebirth, their hearts branded with a purpose so absolute it bordered on holy madness, a certainty that, when defied, could erupt into righteous, unbridled fury.
Yeah, this would be a wild time for the Astartes of the Blood Angels during the second founding, during kind of that area where this is really manifesting hard. It's the first time it's kind of happening, really, and you don't know how to control it. The Black Rage and the Flaw and all that.
And just it sounds like it just hurts more because it's a painful process to become an Astartes, and it sounds like the Blood Angels is the most painful process to become an Astartes because it doesn't just rewrite, like you're not just becoming a bigger, stronger version of you. Like sounds like it's almost reshaping, like we were saying earlier, reshaping the way you look, and you look like Sanguinius, like you look like you're related to Sanguinius. So it's changing your facial features and your bone structure and everything like that, more so than other Astartes would be.
Wild.
Gotta have those high cheekbones to be a Blood Angel.
It's like they're all being put through the Giga Chad filter. Every single one of them.
Exactly. The Giga Sanguinius filter. It's strong.
All right, let's talk about the Flaw. Every Space Marine chapter carries an what is that word? Whatever, fuck it. They carry a mark of its Primarch through the gene seed, shaping flesh and bone, and through philosophy forging the mind. Yet none left so profound a legacy as Sanguinius. The Blood Angels and their successors stand as a noble but tragic lineage, burdened by a dreadful genetic curse. Once the brightest jewels among the Legiones Astartes, the Blood Angels now often shun even their kin, haunted by the Black Rage, a death-driven madness born of visions of the Primarch's fall, and the Red Thirst, a savage craving for blood that some whisper is the first shadow of the Chaos corruption. Many among them tirelessly seek a cure, though most have resigned to a slow, painful decline of the Brotherhood. Some scholars claim that Sanguinius' gene seed was touched by chaos during his perilous journey through the warp, citing his angelic wings as proof of mutation. They argue his corrupted legacy was woven into his blood before the Emperor's hand forged the first Blood Angels. Yet others fiercely deny this, pointing to the Emperor's unwavering trust in Sanguinius and his personal role in the chapter's creation. Though heretics counter with grim reminders of the Emperor's misplaced faith in Horus. Another school of thought traces the flaw to the ritual of insanguination, unique to the Blood Angels. Unlike the other legions who employ different rites to awaken their gene seed, the Blood Angels inject their aspirants with the living blood of their Primarch, preserved in the Red Grail, and now carried by the sanguinary priests, living vessels of Sanguinius' sacred power. This ritual, once direct and pure, has over millennia seen the gene seed degrade, the errors in replication deepening the flaw's grip. The flaw is further linked to genetic defects in the homophilia organ and psychic scars born in Sanguinius' dying moments. After the heresy, the loss of their gene seed imprint, the Blood Angels had no choice but to extract their lineage from their fallen Primarch's remain, dooming each new warrior to the curse. Across 10 millennia, only a few rare, like Chief Librarian Mephiston and Brother Raphin, have overcome the Black Rage, guided by visions of their angelic father. The legacy of sacrifice and suffering binds the Blood Angels, heroes forged by blood and burdened by fate, fighting eternally to honor the memory of their Primarch and preserves humanity's hope. Oh yeah, this is very interesting, like with the whole sanguination, where they actually take a little bit of the Primarch's blood and then inject it, and over years and years, a millennia and century, they're running out of blood and they're dropping little water droplets in it to dilute it just a little bit more. We got to make this last just another decade. Right. Very cool. I wonder if they can like replicate it in any way, like when they put Sanguinius in like his like little stasis tomb, if they somehow did a little drip tap that they can open up, or like whatever.
Yeah, would he be able to regenerate enough to keep making more blood, and they could,
yeah,
yeah.
It is cool. Because of this, the flaw though, it manifests more heavy and heavier with each passing aspirant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, what was I going to say? I was just thinking, for anyone that has seen the Warhammer animation stuff for the Blood Angels that they have, near the end of that series, I think they're like 6 episodes maybe. One of them goes into the Black Rage, and so you kind of get a really good view of what that looks like what it looks like from their perspective and everything.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I like that art style they did on that.
Yeah, it's very black, and it's black and white, except for a lot of the red things. For anyone that's seen, oh my god, now I can't remember the name of that movie. It was very similar, where everything's black and white, but there's like these pops of color for certain characters.
Yeah, it was cool.
Anyway,
Alphys Primus says, "Is it a flaw or just a byproduct of losing their gene sire? If they didn't lose Sang, would it be considered a mute point or even turned into a boon?" Yeah, so like, man. The Blood Angels did have a couple incidents, like we talked about the Charnel Feast, where they kind of went over the top and went crazy and gave into the Red Thirst. We talk about Sanguinius and what happened. Did he have the visions? And then, like, what then did that kind of cause things to happen? Like, where does it happen? Like, with this psychic warp manifestation, how far back does it go? It's so hard to say. I think they kind of always had the Black Rage. And I think they kind of always had the Red Thirst. And I don't think the Black Rage would have manifested in quite the same quantity, but it was still there. But the Red Thirst seems like that was kind of always there.
Yeah. I think the death of Sanguinius made it more unmanageable. Like, if he was there, he could help guide his legion through it. He could help figure out more ways to overcome it. And also even just be, again, like worst case scenario, I'm sure he'd be able to put a really good PR spin on it as well. Like with the ones with the charnel feast, it's like, no, they didn't give in to the red thirst. They just ran out of food and they had to eat people.
They're survivalists.
Yeah,
they're heroes.
Exactly. They like Rogel Dorn was even again like split between just the horror of what they had done, but also like they did it through their indomitable will to not give up. They did what they had to do to win.
Yeah. Cool. Interesting. But let's go ahead and dive right into the red thirst then, since we've been hyping it up. Within every blood angel burns a relentless, destructive yearning, a fierce battle fury, and blood hunger known as the red thirst, which must be restrained at all times. Few brothers can hold this savage craving forever. Many have faltered beneath its terrible call in the chaos of war. The red thirst is the chapter's darkest secret and gravest curse, yet also its strangest salvation, imbuing them with a profound humility and self-awareness that marks them as the noblest of all space marines. The fate of those consumed entirely by its hunger is guarded jealously by the chapter. Whispered tales speak of a secret chamber atop the tower of Amerio on Baal, where agonized cries echo demands for living blood, but none dare reveal the truths hidden within that haunted refuge. There have been dark rumors of vanished locals on worlds where the Blood Angels are stationed, some found drained of blood. Some claim cultists seek to slander the chapter, while others fear these acts are the tragic deeds of brothers overtaken by the red thirst. Those afflicted bear pale skin and elongated, sharpened eye teeth, their thirst for blood surging unpredictably in battle. This grievous curse extends beyond the Blood Angels themselves, haunting their successor chapters, the Flesh Terrors, Blood Drinkers, and Angels Sanguine. But I see what you did there, GW. Binding them all in a shared legacy of sacrifice and sorrow.
So they get a little thirsty. So they like to eat people. Give a guy a break, you know?
So maybe I just not clicking my brain. What are eye teeth? When it says that sharpened eye teeth.
Yeah, they're not your front two. They're not your outer front two. They're the next.
So they're your canines.
Maybe.
Like
I always thought canines.
Because you've got your incisors, and I thought these were your canines. Like there. Anyway.
All right, let's ask the internet. What are eye teeth?
Oh no, where's Court when we need him?
Yeah, Court, we need you.
Okay, eye teeth, also known as canine teeth. So it's the canines.
Okay, cool. I just never heard them called eye teeth. Neat. I'm going to use that way more now because I love it. Go to the dentist. How are my eye teeth looking today?
Yeah, so the Black Rage and the Red Thirst almost go hand in hand. They went a long time with kind of keeping it under wraps during the Great Crusade and most of the Horus Heresy. The odd flare up every now and again, but I think definitely during the second founding is when it really is like that comes in. Now they have to kind of figure out what they're gonna do with these people. We'll find out a little more about what the Black Rage actually does.
So the Black Rage. The Blood Angels and their successors bear the heavy psychic scar left by Sanguinius' death, or the demonic wound inflicted upon their Primarch at Cygnus Prime. This torment haunts them before and during battle, unleashing a furious madness that echoes the wrath Sanguinius felt against Horus and the traitors during the Siege of Terra. This affliction, known as the Black Rage, is a merciless curse from which few recover. Those who fall prey are confined to the Tower of Amerio on Baal, named for a venerable chapter master of old. Rather than leave these warriors to perish slowly in madness, the Blood Angels forge them into the Death Company, brothers clad in black power armor, led by chaplains who alone command their frenzy, embodying the Emperor's will. These fallen angels are sent to the fiercest battles, seeking swift, glorious death. The Black Rage grants them a fragment of their Primarch's terrible power, driving them to tear their enemies apart with savage strength. Yet the same curse that fuels their fury also prolongs their lives, stretching their days until the rage finally consumes them. So it makes me think like they're the Blood Angels version of like the Sisters Repentia, sort of, and that they throw themselves into battle, not worrying about their lives, just causing as much damage as they can until they're killed.
Yeah. Like you got to do something with these screaming lunatics in power armor, and that are demanding not only blood, but also give them back their bolter. So what do you do with them? You give them back their bolter, and you send them on their way towards some Xenos.
And I love that the chaplains can control them. Kind of like going back to like they have all these rites and rituals, and they're they have these different like sort of like magical superstitions, kind of their religious aspects to them. And so like the chaplains are the ones that can actually like be there safely to control them in these battles.
I like that too, and until you said the idea about Sanguinius like using his kind of psychic powers to like tame and calm the Blood Angels, and then when he wasn't around, no psychic powers. Do you almost think that it would be kind of a cool transition to have, instead of chaplains leading the Death Company, you have librarians who are kind of using again that psychic kind of calming effect? Or like that's just now we're adding too much nonsense,
I think it's an interesting idea. Again, this is kind of going off of, tinfoil hat theory stuff.
Yes.
I definitely don't hate it. I think I still like the chaplains better because it uses that religious indoctrination is still in their minds, to follow the people preaching like the Emperor's word.
They still have their like code word Butterfinger, and then they
exactly. Yeah,
sure. I get you.
If you fall into the black rage, brother, remember the safe word, Butterfinger.
Oh, thank you. Snap right out of it.
Alpha Primus had earlier asked, like, what is the size of like a company or a battalion or whatever in the 30K era? And best I could figure is it's basically like it is in 40K. A company is 100 Astartes or 100 Legionnaires in this case. A chapter is still 1 to 2,000 Legionnaires, and then you got the Legion, which is everything together. So
yeah,
it kind of breaks down nice and easily. So
yeah, for sure. So jumping over to their homeworld, we talked a little bit about it already, but here's a little refresher. Baal, the homeworld of the Blood Angels, is a harsh and desolate planet, scarred by millennia of war and devastation. Its surface is dominated by vast deserts and endless dust storms that sweep across the barren wastelands, a testament to its relentless and unforgiving nature. Orbiting Baal are 2 moons, Baal Prime, a larger, cratered satellite that watches silently over the planet like a solemn guardian, and Baal Secundus, a smaller, more distant, casting a faint, cold light that only deepens the world's somber and austere beauty. Together they form the haunting celestial duel that bore witness to the Blood Angels' enduring struggle and sacrifice on this uninviting world. And you gotta love a good chapter fortress. The Arx Angelicum, the mighty fortress monastery of the Blood Angels, the Arx Angelicum was built on the desert surface of the world of Baal proper. And since time Sanguinius, the Blood Angels have continued to recruit from among the tribes of the people known as the Blood on Baal Secundus and the tribes of Baal Prime, where a human colony was reestablished shortly after the Horus Heresy. So yeah, the Baal proper, the big planet, they have their fortress monastery there. And this, we come back to it in the next episode where, the devastation of Baal happens. We'll come back to this fortress monastery where it gets some upgrades and all that stuff. But yeah, then they have the 2 moons where basically they're taking recruits from both the moons, taking them to the planet and giving them those cool upgrades.
Their solar system is balls deep with Blood Angels.
It sure. Yes.
So what is their recruitment like, I wonder? To prove their worthiness, the youths of Baal Secundus, savage tribes, Bal Secundus' savage tribes face the brutal rites of the Blood Angels. Time of challenge. At Angel's Fall, the sacred site where Sanguinius first touched the moon's soil, a towering statue of the Primarch watches over these trials, where only the strongest shall rise. Heralds arrive in thunderous flying chariots, the Thunderhawk gunships to proclaim the contest. The first test demands crossing the deadly Rad deserts by any means, soaring from cliffs on crude hang gliders, evading venomous fire scorpions and other mutated predators, and scaling the mountain to the place of challenge. Many fall before even arriving, but for the wasteland spares no weakness. This is making me think of like how the Space Wolves do their recruitment too. It's very, very similar circumstances.
Yeah, just a bunch of wild creatures that just want to eat you and you have to fend them off.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Upon reaching the arena, the aspirants clash in gladiatorial combat, vying for the precious few spots. Only 50 or so promised ascent. Those victorious are carried away in sky chariots to Bal itself. The defeated remain behind, tasked with guarding the sacred grounds or returning to their tribes to live and fight another day. At Arx Angelicum, the chosen are presented before the chapter and led into the great chapel where wonders await. Here they glimpse the true face of their future brethren, sharp-eyed, noble, and bearing the unmistakable beauty of Sanguinius' lineage. Yet the aspirants themselves show the harsh toll of their world, marked by stunted growth, radiation, scars, malnutrition, and the cruel signs of survival's cost. I think it was mentioned before that like all the Primarchs kind of have that in their gene seed where some of their recruits take on more of their own features. Like it's very prominent with Vulcan. It's very prominent with the Alpha. Yeah, very prominent with Horus, and also prominent with the Alpha Legion. But you could also argue that was also forced upon them too. But
yeah, that one's some surgical, some not, whatever.
I am Alfarius. We are Alfarius. Hey Jax, where are you? Okay. There within the chapel's solemn vigil, the aspirants drink from the red grail, the sacred blood of Sanguinius borne by the sanguinary priests. Soon they succumb to sleep and are carried to the apothecarian, where the Primarch's gene seed is implanted within them. They are then laid within golden sarcophagi in the hall of sarcophagi, their bodies sustained by life support as the transformation begins, a year-long crucible of pain and change. Many perish beneath the strain, their mortal frames unable to bear the surge of transhuman growth. The survivors grow swift and mighty, their muscles swelling, their bodies gifted with the additional organs that mark true Astartes. Within their minds, the gene seed stirs strange dreams, visions, and memories of Sanguinius himself seeping into their souls. Some, waking too soon, emerge broken, haunted by madness born of the dark void within. When finally, it's like a fear of the dark and claustrophobia put together if, God forbid, you wake up too early.
Yeah. You ever been in like one of those saltwater deprivation tanks?
No, but I want to.
I want to try that, yeah.
You think you could do it, or you think you'd get a little twitchy by the end?
It's either way. It sounds like a challenge. I want to see how long I could last in there.
Challenge accepted.
Right.
When finally reborn, these neophytes stand tall and radiant, their forms echoing the angelic grace of their Primarch. Enhanced senses and indomitable strength mark their passage into the chapter, ready to begin the long path of training as true Space Marines. Their journey begins as scouts before they rise to full initiation, an eternal testament to sacrifice, endurance, and the noble legacy of the Blood Angels.
It strikes me as very Fallout, like that the beginning of that process, at least, like having to travel across the rad wastes and defeat rad scorpions and all this mutated stuff, and it's a desert, and yeah,
I like it. Yes, yes. Yeah, you're gonna find all manner of fun creatures in that desert for sure. From like 40-foot tall scorpion things that like shoot acid at you. Like it's gonna be fun.
Good times all around.
Yeah.
Times all around.
Want to know your next vacation destination? Come try Ball Secundus.
The weather's always a balmy 90 degrees.
And I tell you, even all the inhabitants are balls deep in rad scorpions.
Oh, there's so many good jokes to make with that name. I love it. Which, like I said, they become scouts before they become full blood angels, and they learn to kick ass with their combat doctrine. In the fury of battle, the Blood Angels Legion embodied the Emperor's righteous wrath against those who defied the sacred gift of unity. Guided by their angelic Primarch Sanguinius, they descended like blazing heralds of doom, wings of flame, a celestial storm unleashed upon lost human worlds. Entire nations bowed before their radiant terror, falling to their knees beneath the gleaming blades of these red angels, fearing annihilation should they resist. To Xenos foes, no mercy was shown. The Legion's fury swept through them in merciless tides of devastation, leaving only ruin in its wake. Throughout the Great Crusade, the Ninth Legion earned renown for their wars of ultimatum, campaigns where defiant worlds were given a final choice: embrace unification or face the Day of Revelation. I like that Day of Revelation, just more religious connotations in there.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to reveal your death to you. When the Blood Angel's wrath would be fully unleashed, many worlds surrendered in awe and dread. Those who stood defiant beheld Sanguinius' shining visage twisted to savage fury, delivering destruction from the heavens. Tactically, the Legion mastered powerful shock assaults, striking swift and terrible blows to shatter enemy resolve in a single crushing strike. Flamer and Melta weapons were favored not only for the deadly effectiveness, but for the terrifying spectacle they brought on the battlefield. Yet beyond their famed assaults, the Blood Angels were renowned for their unyielding resilience. When overwhelmed, they would stand firm against impossible odds, dragging foes to destruction even in their own death throes. To all but their kin, such defiance seemed near supernatural, rooted not in doctrine or biology, but in a fierce, unbreakable will forged from the rage and sorrow born of fallen brothers. These desperate clashes became known as the Days of Sorrow, where few stood against many, selling their lives dearly, their valor immortalized in the Legion's most sacred rites. When the Legion was shattered for years at Cygnus Prime, isolated ships and garrisons scattered across a war-torn Imperium faced overwhelming foes alone. Many met their own days of sorrow, yet countless traitors perished with them, consumed by flames that burned deep into the night.
Yes, fucking all right.
That's so
Masters
good.
of the Last Stand, like yeah. An easy thought is if the Chaos Gods wanted Blood Angels, it'd be Khorne that'd go after Blood Angels, but Nurgle also would like them. Just this like resilience and this willpower, and like they're never gonna give up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, like fight to the last man, and then also like I would not have expected them to have favored like the Flamer and Melta weapons using like psychological warfare a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And in the Dornian Heresy, I think, if I remember correctly, it's the Blood Angels that end up falling to Nurgle in that scenario.
Yeah, I think so too. Back to that psychological warfare. They actually do a lot of it. From the death mass of Sanguinius later on, to just even taking on like an angel's kind of shape and visage, and like that means something to humanity at least. Maybe that might not mean anything to like Xenos when you land on their planet, but yeah, they definitely kind of have that like psychological, like, yeah, we're not just here to blow you up. We're gonna look good doing it. We're gonna look holy doing it, righteous doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Their martial traditions. Sanguinius shaped the very soul of the Blood Angels, transforming them from mere instruments of war into legions of noble warriors, steeped in both martial prowess and refined arts of poetry and beauty. A mystical spirit runs through the chapter, a steadfast conviction that the world can be made better. Whoa, ain't that a trip, eh? You don't find that very often in 40K. This hope and striving for perfection permeate all they undertake, whether in the delicate brushstrokes of the art or the relentless honing of their battle discipline, or the wisdom of their military doctrines. Blessed with extended lifespans, the Blood Angels have centuries to refine these pursuits, mastering both war and culture in equal measure. The Blood Angels embody a divine balance of savage fury and serene grace. Their hearts hold 10 sacred precepts that reflect the essence of their chapter. Through meditation, they uphold the 5 angelic graces: honor, humility, mercy, restraint, and forgiveness, while embracing the 5 warrior virtues: strength, savagery, abandon, rage, and detachment. Thus, they shift from ferocious killers to stoic monks, equally devoted to battle and the arts of music and reflection. Those are interesting. Are those 5 angelic graces and the 5 warrior virtues, are those something that are kind of like common, or are those Blood Angel made up?
I mean, especially from the series that Lorehammer has done, this is the first I've seen of something quite like this for the legions.
Yeah.
I really like that, because it's like, again, like they have this very extreme duality of peace and war. Like, they're going to come to your world and they're going to try to get you to join peacefully. They're going to try to find a amicable solution. Like it said earlier, Sanguinius taught his legion how to win war without bloodshed. But if you don't, we've got these other 5 things that we really are good at.
Quick Google search of virtues of a warrior is courage, justice, loyalty, honor, and honesty. And the Blood Angels were strength, savagery, abandon, rage, and detachment. So way more like warrior, like way more brutal, where like the actual warriors of a virtue is almost more like how you handle yourself, not so much the actual fighting aspect.
Yeah, like I see this is like how they fight, but also how they, again, like conduct their military operations and just kind of conduct their lives. Like, they're not going to be out there talking shit on the other legions, being like, oh, we're the best, Blood Angels are the best, blah, 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 blah. They're not going to, they've got that humility, they've got that honor in combat and in life. They have mercy, if it's warranted. Like I said, they're not going to be merciful to Xenos and like heretics, but they're going to be merciful to, especially like the people of Baal, they're going to be merciful to humans, showing restraint and forgiveness. It's like, that's what our Primarch would have done. We want to live up to those ideals that he, gave to us.
Yeah. Cool. I like it.
Very cool. Of course you give me the one where that I get like excited about. How are they all organized?
Neatly, and everyone has a place, including the ones with the black rage.
Almost like Biggie thought of this stuff in advance.
Hey, there's that mercy. They're kind to their brothers. They're going to find a use for them. And they forgive them for falling.
Yeah.
In all its forms, the Ninth Legion stood apart from the standard by which the Legiones Astartes were judged. In its earliest dawn, it was scarcely an army, an assemblage of massed infantry companies, simple in design and command, lacking the refinements of specialized forces. These warriors often formed into Reaver squads, were masters of close combat, armed with weapons that demanded little in the way of supply, ideal for missions far from the vanguard of the Great Crusade, yet the Legion bore a dark burden, the Red Thirst, a consuming hunger that haunted its sons and shattered discipline, making grand organization all but impossible. Strategy emerged not from grand command, but was born in the heat of battle at the company or squad level. This fierce independence, coupled with their distance from the early Imperium's Divisio Militaris, meant their ferocity was contained, sparing allied units from the worst ravages of their curse. Thus, the Ninth Legion was granted a solemn truce, permitted to walk its own path, a tacit agreement among imperial generals who knew the cost of trying to bind these tempestuous warriors. Its earliest leaders were more warlords than officers, disciplined and forced at sword's edge, respect earned by valor and strength. These titans moved the legion like a storm. When they advanced, the legion surged. When they stood fast, the warriors dug in like adamant. When their blades rested, so too did the killing cease. Only in the severest losses could halt this relentless tide, for if one warlord fell, another, forged in battle, rose without hesitation. All this was transformed by the return of Sanguinius, the winged Primarch, whose arrival brought order to chaos. His vision sought to contain the legion's hunger, imposing a new structure aligned outwardly with Principia Bellicosa, yet uniquely crafted to suit the great angel's purpose. He organized the legion into companies, first 200 of roughly 300 warriors, later expanding to 300 companies of 500. Beyond this framework lay deeper design, companies grouped into transient hosts formed for campaigns demanding might beyond a single company's grasp. This is making me think of the back to that Michael the Archangel imagery with like the heavenly hosts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
and that 300 companies of 500 is that 150,000 people in the Blood Angels comes from.
Yeah. Yep. So that's where Arbor Ian got his estimate. So again, dude's also very, very knowledgeable about this stuff too. Where's my place? Most importantly, Sanguinius created 3 spheres, distinct chambers of command and purpose beyond the 300 companies and the Principia structure. This elegant stratification channeled the legion's rage and hunger, focusing its terrible strength toward a singular destiny. The third sphere encompassed the Malik, the rank and file warriors whose sole charge was obedience in combat. They wielded blade and bolter as instruments of the Primarch's will, their endless focus and discipline holding the Red Thirst at bay. Within their ranks, a few distinctions were made, only small honors for marksmanship, poetry, or dueling, each a precious token of honor cherished by those who earned it. The second sphere held the commanders, the trusted executors of Sanguinius's will. These leaders bore the burden of free will, the weight of judgment, and a sacred duty to orchestrate war's brutal symphony. Unlike the fanatics of other legions, they blended martial prowess with artistry, mastering not just blade and gun, but pen and brush. The first sphere comprised the immortals, the closest warriors to the Primarch himself. They forsook their names and identities, becoming living embodiments of Sanguinius's wrath, resolve, and vigilant gaze. Entrusted with the Legion's darkest and most perilous missions, they bore these burdens without faltering. Clad in the armor of their new selves, they shielded their souls from corruption's stain, returning once more to the ranks untarnished, sacrificing selfhood for the salvation of their brothers. This is also very much back to the angel symbolism, because there's 3 choirs of angels, or 3 levels, and in each of those levels is like 3 groups of angels. So like the lowest sphere is like your angels, your archangels, and your powers. And then like the top is like your seraphim, your ophanim, and your thrones, if I believe so. Sorry. Seraphim, cherubim, thrones. There we go.
Interesting. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It's a very easy way to kind of break this down. And once again, like you said, just such good tie-in symbology.
Yeah, I like that, like the idea of those immortals. Like, it really like all like the whole organizational structure is very cool, but just the idea of the immortals. Yeah, and I wonder if it means like closest warriors to the Primarch in like the ones that he trusts the most, or the ones that are closest to Sanguinius in like strength. But those could also just be the same thing. Like those could be the ones that he trusts the most that have like the closest traits to himself.
Well, we will go into a couple units that the orders have, so that kind of answers the question a little bit of what they're good at or what their purposes are, at least.
All right. We'll do a jump on that. We'll start with Orders of the First Sphere. The First Sphere of the ancient Blood Angels Legion was a sacred fellowship of distinct warrior orders, each operating apart from the Legion's vast 300 companies. Foremost among them was the revered Sanguinary Guard, the shining honor guard of the Primarch himself. Yet many others stood as pillars of purpose, each bearing a solemn charge. Though few beyond the Legion ever glimpsed the full extent of these orders, the most illustrious and vital are known and honored. So the Sanguinary Guard, called the Ikasat, the Burning Ones, these seraphim were the eternal flame of devotion. Each bore the title Seraph, sworn to shield the Primarch's very being. On rare occasions, they guarded other commanders, a mark of Sanguinius' highest favor and trust. Yeah, imagine if you're a commander and Sanguinius is like, you take one of my personal guard to make sure that you're okay on this mission. It's like, absolutely, like the best thing that will ever happen to you.
I have an angel watching over me. Yes.
And literally, Seraphim is supposedly the group of angels that are right next to God's throne. So this works out perfectly.
Excellent. Now this name is fucking awesome. The Crimson Paladins,
Ooh,
known as
cool.
the Caravim or Storm Winds. That's also fucking awesome. For the fierce and sudden fury they unleashed, the Crimson Paladins guarded the Primarch's sanctums, halls, and all Legion holdings across the stars, particularly at Ball, Canopus, and Safe. When called forth, they became the embodiment of Sanguinius' indomitable will, a shield forged from resolve and righteous wrath.
Yeah, these guys are sweet. They're a bunch of Terminators. They're cool, but their name is what really fucking hits, and it just made me want to do a whole chapter of them, of like Crimson Paladins, where they're basically like vampire paladins, and instead of using holy magic, they use blood magic.
Yeah, so. and like they're guarding the most precious places to Sanguinius and to the Blood Angels, and so it's like they're like somebody comes in there, they're like, you come into my house, so you're gonna see what happens. So next we have the Burning Eyes. The secret Ophanim, many-eyed, were the angel's shame and his silent watchers. Sanguinius' hidden hand, they sought treachery and madness within the Legion itself, purging corruption to cleanse his soul's burden. Rare on the battlefield, these shadow agents wielded unassuming weapons, yet carried out grim justice alone. So it sounds like they were like out there looking for either sort of like treachery in the Legions, or maybe also like seeking out the early versions of like the Black Rage and the Red Thirst, like really coming to the forefront to make sure it like stayed hidden. Let's see.
Yeah.
Next is the Angel's Tears, called the Broken Blade or Dead Hand. The heirloom bore Sanguinius' wrath incarnate. They swept across the enemy with cruel precision, delivering devastation with weapons and tactics that other legions only whispered of as destroyers. Most commonly seen of the first sphere's orders, they carried the dark burden of special warfare. And then the last one is the High Host, known as the Archae or Principati. The High Host was a somber brotherhood tasked with delivering the Primarch's final sentence. Unlike the secretive Angel's Tears, they did not hide their faces as they unleashed humanity's darkest terrors. Engines of annihilation that left worlds smoldering in their wake. A grim testament to Sanguinius' uncompromising judgment.
Yeah, that's what you've been saying this whole time. It's like, we could do this the nice way.
Right.
Or
would you like to meet my friends, the High Host?
Yeah.
I like that humanity's darkest terrors. Good grief.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I warned you.
Right.
We could have done this. We could have done this peacefully.
Fucking hell. Love it. Yeah, these are definitely cool how they've expanded these, came out with a couple different like levels and purposes, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Dark Angels in their Secondectron or whatever they call that shape.
Oh, the hexagrammaton or whatever it is.
Hexagrammaton. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. But very cool.
Yeah.
A little bit more about their organization and hierarchy and all that kind of stuff. The Lords of Sanguinius Crimson Host echoed the rigid framework of the Principia Bellicosa, yet bore distinctions both subtle and profound. Authority was meticulously divided among the Legion's 3 spheres, each officer bound to his sacred place, a station decreed by the Primarch's own hand. Though less flexible than some legions, this layered hierarchy forged a steadfast chain of command, a bulwark against the ever-looming hunger and a fierce wrath that threatened to consume the Blood Angels. To guard against chaos, a multitude of junior officers, lieutenants, and sergeants of varied ranks stood ready, swift to fill the void left by those fallen in battle's fury. On the battlefield, the line of authority shone with unyielding clarity. To question or defy orders was a grave sin, a last resort, punishable but with harsh justice, even when such defiance was proved true. For the Battle Brothers of the Blood Angels, their sacred duty was simple: to obey. Each warrior cast aside his own bloodlust and doubt, trusting that those above bore the weight of consequence. All command flowed directly from Sanguinius, streaming down through the Lord Commanders, who led great divisions through the captains and beyond, an unbroken, involatile chain. Thus, the Legion remained focused and unified, where a sergeant's word was Sanguinius' own voice, and a captain's nod was a Primarch's silent command. The Blood Angels bore unique titles reflecting the noble spirit. Commanders of the host were Archeans instead of the old praetors, also bearing the title Dominion when leading companies. Within each company, junior officers called Powers led the warriors in battle, while Virtues stood as shining exemplars beyond the fight. Many bore honors tied to their devotion. Archeans of wisdom, Powers of the blade, titles such as reverence as tactical meaning, reflecting a legion whose Primarch called them to be more than instruments of war. Yeah, cool way that they kind of do this and how they kind of have tempered themselves to get away with the Black Rage, to kind of just keep it locked down. I like this one line: their sacred duty is simple: to obey. And I think that's the best way to fight the Black Rage, is just to obey those who know better and don't think too much. Then you're going to fall to the Black Rage. Don't, just obey. But it goes more than that. It kind of like bleeds into Sanguinius. Is like, he knew his death was coming from his birth, essentially, and he still just kind of marched towards it. You just do what the Emperor tells you and what you're called to do.
I do like part of that. Some of it, though, like, struck me as a little bit like antithetical to their virtues, like punishing somebody for not strictly obeying your orders, especially, it says, even if they were right. That, I feel like that doesn't fall in line super well with the, like, especially like the humility aspect of the Blood Angels.
Yeah. I wonder if we tie this to, like, more Christian mythos, where the whole thing is like,
yeah, maybe
you don't get to disobey, like, you don't get to do that kind of stuff. That's the whole fall of Lucifer and all that kind of stuff, is pride and not wanting to listen and whatever. But
yeah, because I was like, even their warrior virtues, like, I was like, maybe their warrior virtues could explain that, because it's like in the middle of combat, but it's like, like strength, savagery, abandon, rage, and detachment. Like, I don't feel like those would even, detachment maybe, but
yeah,
I think that's a little bit. I mean, again, like the lore and all of these things in 40K, even just within like these microcosms of 40K being the Blood Angels, is huge in the amount of lore that's there anyway. So like, there's gonna be, some wiggle room.
Some wiggle room for sure.
We'll call it.
Yeah, quite a bit of wiggle room there. And I love how, like, every piece of the hierarchy is just, again, another name for a choir of angel. I actually pulled up the list here. It's from highest to lowest is seraphim, then cherubim, thrones, also called ophanim, dominions, virtues, powers, principalities, archangels, and then angels.
Yeah, that's so funny. I heard that scripture verse, like the principalities and powers may come against you or whatever. Yeah, I didn't know those were like specific ranks they were talking about. Interesting. Cool. Fuck, I gotta go read my Bible again. All of a sudden, it's interesting. I need some angel lore.
Why are you reading the Bible? Because I need to learn about 40K, damn it.
God damn it.
It's now relevant. It's got 40K.
Once again, the Bible is relevant to my interests. Damn it.
Hate when that happens. What do you do?
Okay, let's talk about let's round things out with their war gear, because they got some pretty interesting stuff. The Angel Wing Jump Pack. That's probably the coolest feature of them, is just like they have your jump pack, but it's got the angel wings to it. The Angel Wing Jump Pack grants its bearer the grace of flight, carrying the Blood Angel through the skies like a living avatar of Sanguinius' own wings. It allows warriors to descend upon the battlefield with divine swiftness, striking from above with the fury of an avenging angel.
Do you think these like wings are like metallic kind of just big metal pieces? Are they feathered? Or like what? How are they? What are they actually material wise? Do you think?
Now, I believe darn it, if I can spell. Good question. Because I'm trying to look up the original Sanguinary Guard, because I think the update just had those little itty bitty metal flaps in the shape of wings that a lot of people detested.
The Lexicon page for Wing Jump Pack has a good picture. I'll link it into our chat. If you guys want to pull it up too, but it it looks very much like wings, but I feel like they're going to be made of metal. It's the same material that the rest of the jump pack's made of, if not just for durability, because if they're going to be made of like feathers and stuff, it's going to get torn apart as fast as these things are going to haul ass through the skies.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely looks like, metally. Yeah. Yeah, they're cool, man. They're a defining feature for sure. Like, what a cool fucking thing to say your Primarch has angel wings. Tight.
What would be really cool is, let me try and, is if like, let me see if I can get a good picture there. If anyone's familiar with the game called Darksiders,
I know of it.
Yeah, that game was fun. I liked it.
I enjoyed it. Let me try and get it pulled up here. There we go. It's kind of like got those energy wings almost.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's like what. Go ahead.
Is that how you picture the Blood Angel wings, like energy ones?
No, but I think it would be really cool if someone could kit bash something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you could even paint them like that. I think there's enough like differentiation between the, I guess, like arms of the wings and then the feathers coming down. That you could do do metal for the arms and then do the feathers in that kind of energy glow. That would be really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Like the wings is where more thrust comes out, so that's why they're glowing, because it's like actually part of the engines.
Yeah. Cool. What other weapons they got? These aren't all of them, but these were some kind of just like iconic ones. There are a lot they had.
So they also have the Angelus Bolter. The Angelus Bolter is a sacred weapon crafted with devotion and blessed by the rituals of the Blood Angels. Its thunderous hail of fire carries both death and redemption, delivering righteous judgment to the foes of the Emperor. So just sounds like your typical bolter, but maybe with more Blood Angels filigree. These
ones are wrist mounted, though, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We also have the Death Mask of Sanguinius. It is a solemn relic forged to immortalize the visage of the Primarch and inspire courage in the heart of his sons. Those who wear it carry the weight of sacrifice and the eternal burden of their lineage, a constant reminder of their sacred duty. They also have the Encarmine weapon. Those are forged in crimson flames, embodying the purity and wrath of the Blood Angel's noble spirit. Each strike cleaves through darkness, a blade of sacrifice wielded in the name of the Great Angel. They also have the Red Grail. The Red Grail is a holy chalice containing the precious lifeblood of Sanguinius himself, bestowed upon the warriors to heal and strengthen their fallen bodies and spirits. It is a sacred gift, a symbol of salvation, born from sacrifice and divine mercy.
Nice.
Again,
Another knockoff relic of Christianity. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
This makes me think of that scene from the Last Crusade. He chose poorly.
Yeah, fuck, I love that scene.
And one more Christian symbol knockoff. We have the Shroud of Sanguinius. It is kept in a box that is protected by a stasis field and is safeguarded by a blood angel known as the Guardian of the Shroud. Though if the stasis field is turned off by the Guardian, the Shroud will give off psychic vibrations. While the Guardian himself is not affected by them, any nearby blood angels that are struck by the vibrations will be driven into a frenzied state. However, when the stasis field is reactivated, the afflicted blood angel will return to normal. Very different vibes from the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah. This will drive me mad.
I wonder if the Guardian has something special with his armor that it is not affected by this, or maybe like the Shroud has the stasis field around it, and so does his armor, since the psychic vibrations can't penetrate that kind of a stasis field. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be.
It does give like a little more credence though towards that psychic, like how just Sanguinius and his psychic and tied into all this, and yeah. Cool little relic though. I hope when I die, my bloody imprint gets stained on a bed sheet, some type of linen. I don't care what kind, just any kind will do. I think it's the way to go for me.
Mark, do you know, was the Shroud of Sanguinius, is that something that could have been fielded on tabletop?
Yeah, but it was like way back in like 2nd edition, and I don't think it made it past.
Okay. I like that at least was on the tabletop at some point. That is very cool.
Yeah, very cool. They had a bunch of cool relics. Honestly, it was hard to choose enough. You could do a whole Blood Angels relics specific episode.
Nice.
Lots of cool stuff. So if you're looking for something to read and you like kind of these style relics, go check it out more. Well, yeah, that's kind of the Blood Angels in 30K era. You know, they definitely lean way more into that angelic mythos. They're way more just like hope and heroes and aspirational, where when we get into the 40K version of them, it gets a little darker. Not evil, just vampiric. Pretty nice.
Just a little extra thirsty in the 40K era.
Yeah. You guys like Blood Angels? What's kind of one thing you took away from this episode?
I really like their organization. It was one thing that I really liked about the Dark Angels as well. Like I like I like those like specialized, not even just units, but yeah, those like specialized rules that they have like within their own command structure and everything. I really enjoy that.
I hear you, man. Like being able to then even actually build it all out and be like, I have the whole first circle, like first host. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah,
I want to do it. But first, Celebre Malleus.
But yeah, priorities.
Yeah,
but no, like I like that they, like I said earlier, I like that they kind of embrace a lot of things in ways that other legions don't, like embracing their gene seed drift, and even just some parts of the gene seed in ways that you don't see in other legions. And again, like even though for them it's not the best thing, they don't like it. They like to kind of keep that like a little bit hush hush, but it gives them a lot of flavor,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't get invited to Blood Angels dinner parties very often, for sure.
Right? Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna find yourself on the plate.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't ask about their communal wine either.
Gerald, how about you?
Well,
Doing it for you, tickling your pickle.
I'm appreciating them a lot more. At least the 30K version, where they were actually like you said, Mark, like the more angel heavy themes as opposed to I'm a vampire stuff.
Yeah, like their armor has like exposed muscles in 40K, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And I think that turnaround from absolute savages to like we're better than this. We can make this world a better place or this galaxy a better place. To oh shit, we lost our dad. What the fuck is going on? But we can still be better than this. Like that's that whole arc of from just savages to like noble warriors. That's actually they've done that really well with the 30K Blood Angels.
Yeah, for sure.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, just like their like character development over 30K and 40K is really, really interesting.
Yeah, they're a fun chapter. Yeah, it's nice how much they kind of added to them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else. We got one more episode of Blood Angels before us, where we really get into some more stuff, or their current stuff. But yeah, I have no other thoughts. Do you guys have any closing thoughts, or we do shoutouts? Blood Angels, mate.
I'm good. Yeah, it's just all these episodes for all the different legions of Primarchs. Like, there's at least something interesting to find, and I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Like for me, it was the Crimson Paladins. I want to go do my own company of them. That's the way it happens.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, go check out Merlin's miniatures. Use promo code Lorehammer. You can do that and buy any Blood Angels models you want. They will sell them to you. They want to sell you them, and I want to give you a discount. So go use merlinsminiatures.com and use promo code Lorehammer. You can get a discount on 40K minis and other things. Also, go check out the Lorehammer Listener Lore podcast. Lots of episodes of homebrew lore read off there. So come join me over there.
And if you like more of the fantasy side of things, and we actually do have vampires, actual vampires, come over to Grimlore and check out us talking about Warhammer Fantasy.
Yes.
I'm just gonna shout out, just everyone go out, go be creative, whether it's, doing your modeling, creating your homebrew chapter, picking up a new hobby. Just go out there, engage your mind, do something creative that you enjoy. Have fun.
Go be creative and have fun. I love that, Fuzz. Very nice. All right. Well, we'll see you guys all on the next episode. Adios.